The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
Welcome to another episode of the Canadian Mortgage Show. This is episode 33. Alex Pang here alongside my co-host Alex Shanks. Alex, happy Easter long weekend.
It's a good weekend, man. And I mean, I was going to wear my Leaf jersey, but I know your team didn't make it into the playoffs. I really just didn't want to upset you that way. So I'm not wearing it, but it's, I feel good. I think it's our year.
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing to say about that because my team's out. So I'm not one of those fair weather fans that want a Canadian team to win it. So I'll jump on other fans' bandwagon. I'm a Canucks or nothing, man. I could care less if it's a Canadian team or whatever. So
I definitely don't want the Canadians win. That's for sure. I wouldn't want them, but I would be happy with any Canadian team winning at this moment. So long.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, I mean, it'd probably be Winnipeg. Ottawa, I don't think it really has a chance. I mean, it's good that they got in, but they're a young team. They'll give the Leafs a run for their money, but ultimately they probably lose. But yeah, I think as long as Winnipeg gets over their playoff demons and Hellebuck plays better in the playoffs like he does the regular season, then Winnipeg should go far. But I've kind of thrown my hat in. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. I've kind of shifted my eye on the NBA. So I watched game 1 yesterday and Steph Curry. Man, that was amazing.
Well, he's still. I mean, I feel like I haven't watched him in probably 5 years. I mean, when's the last time they won the champion?
It was 2022.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and then he got his deserved Finals MVP. You know, there's enough of that talk about Durant helped carry them for 2 straight titles and all that stuff, and the year that they won the first time, LeBron it was by himself with the Cavaliers and everyone else was injured. But this was like one of the years where he finally got his due, where he deserved Finals MVP. But I mean, he's aging, and the fact that he can, man, there was a shot that he made yesterday that the announcer says, geometrically, that should not have happened. Where it was the shot clock was winding down. He was, I guess, trying to make his own shot. He was falling out of bounds, and he just throws up a prayer, and it goes in. And me and my son were like, "Whoa!" But Steph Curry, that's just the norm these days, and
that is. Oh, I mean, what's his 3-point percentage is what, like 60%? I mean, the next person
No, I don't think that's high. I think a career average of like 46%. That's still one of the all-time highs.
I mean, it's still quite higher than what's the next person? Like the stats I've seen, it's quite a bit lower.
Yeah, I think it's between like a bunch of them: Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Kyle Korver, and all those guys. But yeah, definitely one of the all-time greats for sure.
I can watch playoff like a basketball, but like I tried to join like even a fantasy league to like get more into basketball. I just can't do it. That same thing with baseball. I just can't. I can watch hockey and football all day long, but the other ones just has to be live. I'll go to any sports live, but I can't watch them on the TV. I'm like, I'm gonna go do something else.
Oh, you know, the funny thing is, my son and I were watching. I know this is totally bad for folks this generation. We kind of dual screened it. My family were watching The Last of Us and some 911 episodes, but me and my son, we want to watch the game as well. So I threw up the laptop on the coffee table and had it on dual screen while we're watching. So I know you parents probably don't like this, but I'm like, well, this allows us to watch both things at once.
Sometimes during football season, I'll have like 4 screens going. I'll have 4 different things. It's and I mean, I don't know if you ever did you ever know like the NFL, the red zone? Well, that used to be commercial free. That's not commercial free anymore.
Yeah, I know this totally is not good for our ADD generation, but how do you get to watch both at the same time? Just have 2 screens. Man, we got a jam-packed show. This is essentially the last week of our pod before the results of the federal election. So we have a lot to talk about. I know this is a housing show, but I mean, we have to kind of talk about the election because that kind of guides us how our industry is in terms of housing, mortgages, real estate and economy and such.
And I mean, I feel like people are on the fence. Some people are just buying because they're like, I want a place. But there's other people that are on the fence of just like going to wait and see, and it's because they're waiting to see what happens in the
Yeah.
federal election. That's the honest case. Is people want to know where's our economy going to be going? Are we going to be going upwards? Are we going to be going downwards? Are we going to be going sideways? And so yeah, we have to talk about all this stuff. I don't love talking politics all the time, but it is what needs to be talked about.
Yeah, maybe social media has picked up the algorithms, and that's all I see on X now. I think some people are saying X is more on the conservative right wing side. I don't know about that, but yeah, just a lot of the feeds and such. So I mean, and it's on all the Canadian, like most Canadians' minds. So I mean, we should talk about it. Did you watch the debates last week? Either the
I just saw some of the highlight reels of it and everything. I mean, I saw the one with whatever Blanchot just saying like I don't want to be prime minister. I don't care about the rest of Canada. I only care about Quebec, and I just want someone that's going to play ball with me. It's just like how have we let someone like that have so much control? That's what kind of scares me.
yeah, that was I mean, that was quite a yeah, it was a weird comment by him. I mean, but we kind of knew that about Quebec and even the Bloc Québécois the whole time. Like, yes, they're a federal party, but really they're just in it for Quebec and, always want to separate and all that stuff. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing. I only saw snippets of it on social, but it seems like it appears that Pierre has won the debates. Now, will that translate to, in the polls? Um, you know, that's, you know, exactly.
Polls are so weird. I mean, like I saw things right away that yeah, Pierre's now winning in the polls, and then 5 hours later, no, Mark Carney's winning in the polls. It's like these polls, I don't think it's even worth talking about them.
Yeah, and a lot of these polls are done by mainstream media, and I think we kind of know now mainstream media has a lot been funded by the Liberal government, so you kind of take it with a grain of salt. Like, which poll is the most unbiased? Like, I did one on Yahoo, and I think they're pretty unbiased, right? So, I mean, they have Carney leading, or not Carney, but Pierre leading in that, right? And if you even look at the U.S. federal election, Kamala was leading in the polls leading up to their election, and guess what happened there? So, um, you know,
I mean, what was the early? And I know we were talking about this. You got out and voted early, correct, there, Alex?
yeah, I did. We did vote on Friday. It was actually pretty busy. We were looking on social.
Isn't it like we're hitting some records like for like the most like,
Yeah, exactly. So per Elections Canada, a record 2 million people went out to vote on the first day of advanced polling on Good Friday. I mean, lineups were long across the country. I mean, where I live in Surrey, I think, yeah, it was about a half an hour lineup for me. I think the time we went was right after lunch, so it wasn't the greatest. But I mean, what do you think when there's a huge turnout? Like, what do you think that signifies when it comes to elections?
I mean, when you were there, Alex, what demographic, what age group did you think you saw more of? Like that to me is the telltale. Obviously, is it one age group that's super scared and they're all like, we all need to go out and vote? Like, what age group did you see when you were there?
It was all age groups. I mean, there was seniors, there were people my age, middle age, young people as well. So I think, like, I'm just been looking on social, like, hey, what does a huge early voter turnout signify? And I guess the major sentiment I'm seeing is that people want change, or they want to hear it. Like, they're like, oh, they just can't wait for some change to happen. And was that change meaning you want a conservative government, or do you want the liberals to stay power and all that stuff? One thing that both my wife and I found it really weird at the polls was they only gave pencils. As far as I know,
Was that so? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I honestly think when I voted last year, I think I had pencils. That's like I know I've been seeing that all over the social media and people talking about it. That's it. I think I've always used pens or sorry pencils.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's like, conspiracies, conspiracy theorists saying that, they're gonna change the vote and such. And I think the way the ballots work is it looks like they are just manually counted. It's not one of those machine feeded kind of systems that we had to use. So I heard some people were like promoting others to bring your own pens, and that they weren't allowed, but it's actually legal. So I wasn't sure about that. So
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I mean, yeah, you can get so deep into conspiracy theorists, and I mean, like, they're so hard. There's things that we all know and have believed, and that have fully come out as true now. So it's hard not to believe in certain things. But I've definitely seen that narrative being posted on social media right now. Like, they're trying to change the election. It's like, I don't think they're sitting there thinking like, oh, we're gonna have everyone fill it out in pencils so that we can go and change these votes. It's obviously something that's weird, that's maybe happened in some areas. Um, and I mean, it's going to allow people, if they say the conservatives don't come into power, we know what they're going to be saying. They're going to complain and say, "Hey, it was because of the pencils."
yeah, I don't want all of a sudden the conservatives to be painted as, oh yeah, you guys are just the MAGA supporters or the Trump supporters. Like you're basically the Republicans of the states. I'm like, that's not.
Yeah, and I mean that's the scary thing is just the stuff that's being posted right now about all this stuff. I'm just like, we're like, I lean to a conservative, but I'm like, man, the way that all these other people are talking is like, I don't like the way that you're leaning right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just because you vote a certain way doesn't mean you fit this kind of stereotype or category, right? Like so. What was really interesting is someone posted on social that Pierre Poilievre's riding in Carleton, 91 names on the ballot sheet. How is that possible?
Seems crazy. And I mean, what was it like whenever he did his riding before? What was it in the past years? Like, has it gone up exponentially, or is that like normal for that area? That's what I heard the 91 number, but I want to know, is that like 50 times more than it ever has been, or is that like normal for that area?
Honestly, I doubt it because, you know, I could totally believe, again, putting on our tinfoil hat here, whether, the liberal government, trying to plant these candidates in there just to have such a long list that people's like Pierre's name is lost in there so that it could dilute his vote and such. I mean,
Like, so does that mean like there's? I thought you can only have like one person. Like, so let's say if I'm the Conservative Party leader, or want to be a Conservative Party leader, Alex, like, and you want to, like, can you be like, we can both have our names on there?
no, you can only have one name per party. So
Yeah. Like, are these are all just undelegated? They're just saying that, oh, I'm unrepresented.
I mean, you do hear of these like smaller parties that that garner some votes, like the Heritage Party. Sometimes you see the Marxist, the Lenin Marxist parties and the Communist parties. Uh, what other ones do I see on there? Oh, something libertarian. Like I don't even know what they're all about and stuff. So, like so I was kind of looking into this. Like, how do you get your name on a ballot? I believe you need at least 150 signatures in order to get your name on a ballot.
That one, I mean, the thing that I have, and I saw, I think CBC actually talked about it because they had the question about what if Mark Carney doesn't get into like his riding? What if he doesn't win? And so they have confirmed it's no change. It's just, hey, he doesn't win that spot, but he's still the prime minister. And so, I mean, that would be the same thing. Let's say if Pierre didn't win that spot, but Conservatives still won, he would still be the prime minister. It, it, it's interesting that way.
Yeah, it's I believe Carney doesn't win his riding, then he would they would, liberals would have to kick out another MP in a different, like another liberal safe riding, and they have to do a by-election on that one. Now,
Yeah.
if that comes like I don't know how it go. Like if he loses again, I don't think it's ever happened. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Like I'm hearing growing rumblings too. Like that would be so funny if like Carney is running against the conservative candidate in Nepean, and her name's Barbara Ball.
Yeah.
She's I believe, a former military vet or police officer, and yeah, and I heard her Twitter following. We talked about this in previous pods. Her Twitter following has grown from 1,500 to probably over 50,000 by now.
Yeah.
So whether that translates into votes and pulling the ultimate upset, man, I guess politics is like reality TV. Like we're watching live sports right now.
But I mean, like, let's talk about this, Alex. Like, how crazy is it going to be? And I mean, what happens to Pierre? Let's say if the Conservatives don't win. I mean, is Pierre, is he gone? Like, is he like, nope? Like, are they just going to keep kicking every single person that doesn't win off the Conservative like leader list? I heard they say if he doesn't win, oh, it's going to be Doug Ford that's going to be coming in. And I mean, I mean, it'd be pretty crazy if he doesn't. Like, if
Yeah, but Doug Ford, I heard, doesn't it show that he's been supporting more liberals, even though his party is conservative in the province? He's been kind of bashing Pierre, honestly, and supporting Carney. So like what lane are you in, Doug Ford?
I mean, maybe they have something of like, all right, we're gonna let. And I mean, I got this. This is like the conspiracy of all conspiracies. Is that I mean, so right now they've said that the Liberals already made the entire party plans for Mark Carney. They already said like what they were gonna do, their budgets and everything. What the next thing is that Mark Carney's meant to come in for the next 4 years if he wins. After that, there's going to be another vote, and they'll bring Justin Trudeau back.
Oh
That's
my
what someone
gosh.
brought up. I'm like, that is insane. So probably he's polled as 47% as like for a top prime minister. That's what the polls say.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone's like, do you believe the polls? I mean, like this is further along on our agenda, but I'll bring it up. But um, it just got revealed by a reporter that Carney's platform was originally created for Justin Trudeau,
Yeah.
and Trudeau's gone. Now they just slapped Carney's name on it.
Yeah.
So I guess from a liberal standpoint, if you're voting for Carney, it's really just Trudeau, but more of the same. And we'll talk about more about the platform.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Hearing that, like obviously, like he brings in some other stuff to it, and then we'll talk about it. But I mean, if it's the exact same platform and the exact same people, how can we expect change? And that to me is the whole issue here. Hey, if we think they could do the right thing, but if they could be held accountable, different story. But I mean, at the moment, it's been 10 years and they haven't been held accountable. So like, why is it going to be different?
So we're just gonna kind of rehash, or like for those of you who are kind of undecided in votes, like you will have about, I guess by the time this pod goes live, you have about 5 or 6 days to decide. Ultimately you would have missed, or if you've already early voted, great, thank you. But if you haven't, you have till the 28th, or you actually have the 28th to vote. We're just going to go over some of the the party platforms, or the beliefs and stuff. Now we know that Conservatives and Pierre have promoted opening up Canada's energy corridor, allowing more pipelines to be built from east to west. But Mark Carney, he just announced that, and so that bill is Bill C-69. Mark Carney just announced that he will not repeal Trudeau's Bill C-69. So he is not going to have no new pipelines built. So it essentially makes it impossible to develop new energy projects from east to west without this bill being repealed. Whereas Pierre, he is going to repeal it.
Yeah, I mean, I could say I can see why Carney's like kind of saying. I mean, again, nothing can go through east to west unless Quebec's on board. And they've said over and over and over. I mean, hey, if you give us a bunch of money, which they already do get a bunch of money, that's the only way it's going to happen. And so, I mean, I think Carney's more doing it as posture of like, oh, I need to make sure that Quebec is happy with me at the same time. And that's where I see why he's saying that.
A big thing too is like Alberta, because they're a landlocked province. They have a physical barrier. They can't have pipelines to the BC and the coast because of the Rocky Mountains. So I was just talking with my wife over the last couple of days. I'm like, oh yeah, that's very difficult to build a pipeline through.
Back in the 1950s, it's not happening again.
Yeah. It would cost like, do they still have that existing pipeline there, or would they have to build one there?
And they've twinned it. They've put like they use the same one and they've made another pipeline next to it. And then
okay, but right now it's just not being used. It's just
they're using it. Yeah, it gets used. It's like the Translike. So it's called so it used to be called what is it? Well, it's called Trans Canada Mountain Pipeline is what it's called now. I mean, they bought it from Kinder Morgan. Kinder Morgan was meant to do it. They had forked out like $6.8 billion, and I mean that's where Justin Trudeau came in and said, "We'll buy it for $11 billion." and so spent crazy amount of money. And now like they've made it a bigger line, and they have the other one. It's honestly some of the I've worked on a lot of pipelines in a past career. What I used to do, a lot of people like to slag on the BC, saying, "Oh, like it's dangerous." That is some of the best pipeline I've ever seen. Like what people did back in the 1950s to get that in was insane. The pipeline is in better shape than anything in Alberta. Like you get to Alberta and like there's corrosion on the pipe, and you're like, okay, they didn't even put the coating on correctly. And no, it's a very well run pipeline.
Yeah, I can even imagine, like, let's say there's no pipeline at all, and if they were to start from scratch, imagine the billions of dollars it would take to blow through mountains. Like you would, like, we're talking about, like, I'm just bringing us back to, like, how the Canadian National Railway was built. Like dynamite that'd be built, and like immigrants died, trying to build something, and like, yeah, if we have something, why not use it, right?
Yeah. And it does. And I mean, that's where then you get Vancouver that gets upset because of all the tankers coming in and everything. And so, I mean, that's the hardest thing is, well, a lot of stuff also goes to Washington. It goes through there and it gets funneled over. But I mean, again, we're just selling it. We're sending it to the US. They have refineries there more than we do, refine it, and they sell it back to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of put us into a predicament. It's kind of it's as if we kind of want to have it all. Like we need to be an energy superpower, but in order to do so, is it going to pollute our environment? Possibly, probably, right? But if you're sending it over, it's also polluting the environment, just not your environment, right? It's still happening. It's just not. It's the NIMBYism, right? Like we know it's still happening, just not in front of us that we can see.
That's why I have people complaining about stuff like, well, we just don't want it in our backyard. And it's like, so what's the difference of sending it over to China? Why is it okay for them to have people being killed and polluting all their stuff? Like, would we not rather it here where we have better safety protocols? We have better infrastructure. Hey, it's going to cost us more, and you might not like the look of it, but it's probably a lot safer than being in China.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I can get that not refining it in Greater Vancouver or Lower Mainland, but like in the north, like, or like in the not the Okanagan, but like interior BC, like in mining or port resource towns that are dedicated for refinery, and so people who work there, they live and
Yeah.
work there and work that industry. So when you live there, you know what you're doing. Versus like, oh, we're gonna stick a nuclear turbine right in like West Van or something like that. Of course, people are going to throw their hands up, but something further away. But like,
But even that, I mean, even again, doing it, let's say if it isn't West Van, again, like our safety and everything is so much more advanced where it's like, all right, we're going to send it somewhere else. We don't really care what they do for their safety protocols, but you know what? It didn't happen on Canadian soil. That's perfectly fine. But it's like, why don't we take the time and actually do it here and protect us for one and get the benefit of it too?
yeah, it's almost like that saying willful blindness. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to. I just want to have it refined. I don't know how it got refined, and the sacrifices that need to be made to get this refined, but I just want it. So yeah, I mean, some interesting things that also came out too. Guys, we're not here to be the let's slag Mark Carney, let's slag Pierre. We're just kind of talking about it because it's been reported here. So it's been shown that Mark Carney's old firm, Brookfield, um, yeah, runs 4 businesses and out of a Bermuda bike shop address.
Well, didn't I think Obama came out and called them out saying that this is like the most egregious like tax sheltering in the world. Like what's been done there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he launched a $25 billion green fund in this tax haven in Bermuda,
Yeah.
and Carney still won't come clean about his financial interests. So he says he's no longer with Brookfield, but on the shareholders registry, he's still shown as the chairman, and he talks about his building 500,000 homes, Build Canada Homes, wanting to do prefabricated homes. Well, one of his companies builds fabricated homes, and
And
yeah,
I mean, hey, if you get into politics that way, hey, you don't, any of the companies you've been affiliated with, they don't even get to go and make a budget. Like, I'm sorry, like that's just how I believe it needs to be because there is no other way to make it seem fair.
yeah,
Because he could easily just be like, oh yeah, I like theirs, and it could actually cost more. And that's where it's like, hey, you just don't even get to put into a budget.
This is pretty much goes against everything democracy is. Like you'd hear about things in like China and all these dictatorships because you're kind of in an authoritarian society, but
Well,
we live in a democracy. There should not be conflict of interest where they get preferential treatment and stuff.
that's where I mean, we don't want to dive too far into this, but like even lobbying, like how did lobbying become a thing? Like how is that like allowed? How are companies able to go and lobby our governments and stuff and say, hey, well, I'll give you X, I'll give you this if you let me do this. It's like, again, that's not in the best interest of, it's the best interest of the companies.
Yeah, I mean, lobbying happens a lot in politics, right? Where you're looking for enough votes to push this bill through. So you kind of have to like, hey, vote for me now on this, and I will owe you for something later. So,
and I mean, like politics, I can understand that. Like, hey, like I really need this, but again, like a business should not be able to come in and say, hey, I'll give each of this $20 million if you approve this this bill or allow it to me to build this building. That just doesn't. I don't understand how that is allowed. Not a fair play.
Sorry to say, Alex, the world is not, it's not always an honest place to be. So, I mean, things happen without us knowing, but like maybe I watch too much shows on HBO and Netflix, but yeah, things happen that we don't know for things, for, capitalists to happen such. So, yeah.
Now this is an interesting one, and so Pierre Poilievre says he'll scrap the GST on Canadian-made cars, and so I mean, like, what is Canadian then? Is it, do you have to have built it 50% in Canada? Like, what is the definition of that? Because we know most of our vehicles, like, we build them here in some sense, but they're also shipped back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's great and all, just to allow the automotive industry to keep going, especially amid the tariffs and stuff. I mean, this could save up to $2,500 for buyers. Yeah. So, I mean, which cars are made in Canada? Would it just be the GMs, the Fords, the and all that stuff? Are there any imports that are made in Canada? Probably not, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. And I mean, this, like here in BC, this is what I feel like should get taken off right away to help stimulate, let's say, the used industry. We'll freaking stop Blue Book valuing the taxes. Like when you want to sell a vehicle, like,
yeah, you know what? This kind of grinds my gears. Why do you, like, and a car gets sold brand new, you got to pay the PST or the GST, or if you're in Ontario, the HST. So that tax is paid on a brand new vehicle. Why then, when the car gets resold in the used market, are there taxes paid again? That car is probably, over the lifetime of the car, going to be bought and sold probably 4 or 5 times, maybe more. The government gets taxed every single time it changes hands. Why is that?
Oh, and that's like, even if you want to transfer it, let's say if you bought a car, Alex, in your personal name, now you want to send it over to your business. Still yours, your name's on the business and everything. You're going to get taxed on it again. And it's just
I mean, that's the same thing when it goes to real estate too. Like if you have a property in your personal name, you want to put it under your holding company, you got to pay tax on it because your holding company is buying the property off you, right? So
that's where you got to set up what's called a bare trust. Is one thing, and we can talk about it another time. Is there's loopholes to get around that and everything, and that's where it's just, again, and I don't mind the real estate one because, hey, getting inside of the company, there's like better tax benefits and everything. But let's say, hey, you bought a van, you didn't own a business before, now you're like, oh shit, I need to put this into my business because now I'm maybe a courier. Hey, yeah, that van is worth $120,000 now, even though you bought it back in the day, it was only 60. The value of it's increased because it's a Sprinter van now. Yeah, you're going to get taxed at 130.
Now, Pierre is also pledging to, promote housing. He's going to cut up to $100,000 in home building taxes by scrapping the federal sales tax on new homes and incentivize municipalities to slash development fees. I mean, he goes on to say, like, he announced this actually today. They are promising, I guess, or they're vowing to build 2.3 million new homes in the next 5 years. So I did my math, and that works out to 460,000 a year. Now, we've kind of slagged Carney and the Liberals for doing 500,000 a year. I'm like, 460 still seems like a lot, seeing that, 276,000 was our highest in 1976.
Started like 250.
Yeah.
Started like a real nice number. Make something that's actually obtainable. Make it, and then be like, hey, you know what? We've done this. We now know how we're going to increase efficiency. Like, don't just say I'm going to build 2.3 million when we know it's not going to happen. Like, it's just again, and I don't even like. It doesn't make me want to vote for him more by him saying that. It actually probably pisses
this
me
one's
off more.
ambitious as well, but at least he did mention that the plan to get there is more sound than Carney's plan. So I mean, to get there, he said he'll axe the sales tax on homes, like I said earlier, cut development charges, sell off federal land, and require cities to build 15% more homes. That's a pretty ambitious number. So,
but again, like, how does he have any control over that, or is that the provinces and municipalities? I mean, again, it's great for him to say as the prime minister, like, hey, you need to build 15% more homes, but they could just say, well, no, we're not going to do it, and hey, you're not giving us the funding from the development charges. We're not going to approve anything.
Yeah,
like that's where it's
exactly.
Such a disconnect.
And he did say that he's going to issue penalties to municipalities for not cooperating. That's going to be, basically the left hand needs to talk to the right hand, right? So we're going to need, like, whether it be BC, Ontario, or any city, like,
I think even Trudeau talked about that before, that he was going to start fining the provinces and stuff. And I mean, that still hasn't come into play. Like, some provinces, like, the red tape is gone for certain things. Like in Vancouver, you can build a 4 or 6-plex quite easily. If you want something else, no, it's got to be that. Where I live, to get any development, it's the exact same as always. There is nothing that's been changed.
And ultimately, still, the math ain't mathing still. So we haven't seen a whole ton of 4 to 6 plexes being built. Yes, in BC, things have opened up, but the numbers, the economics still don't kind of make sense. But I mean, I kind of have to give a closer thumbs up to Pierre's, because at least he has a plan. 460 may not be realistic, but like, at least there's a plan to get there. Now, my big question is, how do you get municipalities to cooperate? Let's have a partnership here, right? We've talked about this in the past. How do you get past the making up the city revenue by lowering your taxes thing? I guess they have to convince them by volume, not by each high priced unit being built. So.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's how I would look at it. Be like, hey, we know over the next, let's say over the next 5 years, all right, we're going to get, if this many permits come in, all right, well, we're going to have to hire more people. Our budget will be good, and do it on contract. Say, hey, we're going to hire the development people for 2 years, and then we're obviously going to have to reduce that amount. And that's where the problem is, we're going to get bloated. They're going to hire all these people to like try and make this thing attainable. And then we're just going to be paying the cost of it for the next 25
Pierre,
years.
Though, when he mentioned that in order to help this, he's going to like not have no immigration, but to limit immigration so that it doesn't exceed the amount of homes being built. And we've been saying this on the pod before. Yeah. We're not anti-immigration. Both you and I are immigrants at some point in our family's tree. Like, as long as we build enough homes, like, that should build a sustainable Canada. And when things were out of balance, where we had way more immigrants coming in than homes being built, that's when we see home prices inflating, rent prices inflating. And, we see this, this mess that we're in now from a country's perspective. So, I mean, on the flip side, Carney's plan 500,000 homes, that's totally unrealistic as well. But he's basically going to do prefabricated homes. And like we said earlier, one of his companies makes prefabricated homes, and it's almost going to be like government housing. So
yeah, and that's where it's, I mean, I'm all for, like, I do think, like, I think lenders, like, when people, like, there's a difference, like, a lot of people get confused by modular and manufactured home. A modular and a manufactured home are identical in the eyes to a lender. When you get into what's called like a modular home that actually has a foundation and framing, that's where financing becomes more simple again. And that's where I think the government, for one, needs to make sure they're paying attention to that, of like, how are we going to prove these builds? Because if they just build a bunch of mobiles, well, you can't even finance them. Harder for every lender. Can you even find the right property that's going to allow them? Or we've just done all this work.
It's the important thing is, whether it's the conservatives or liberals that come into power, you need to build homes that people want to live in, not shoeboxes in the sky. Like, if you're going to do all these prefab homes, that's great, but if no one wants to live in it, like who cares? You know, that kind of like you're wasting your resources and time on something. So so this is kind of an
Exactly.
interesting thing that came out. It was probably about a week ago now. More than 30 major business leaders have come together and banned and are endorsing the conservatives and are urging Canadians to vote for the Pierre and the conservatives on the 28th. So um, maybe I think we'll get this put out on the video side, but some major leaders here. But there's not one single executive from the agricultural food industry. So what does that tell you?
And I mean, I guess, yeah, and that's what I wonder. I mean, I didn't watch the debates, but I don't really know, like, have any of them talked about that? Like, I don't know what their platforms for the Liberals and Conservatives are on that. And that's where just obviously the Liberals must have higher up friends
Yeah,
in the
one
food
thing that I
industry.
saw too on social where they're controlling supply is there's some dairy farmers that had a lot of like dairy or milk, and because of their supply control, they had to dump a lot of their milk and not sell it because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how the whole economics work when it comes to food, but why are we wasting food?
Again, because let's just bring this back to real estate, which it's a supply and demand. Obviously, if they flood the supply, well, the price is going to go down for
Mm.
them, and they don't want that. And so again, that goes back to, and that's why they're doing it, is because they want the demand to stay. We could be giving food out to a lot more people for a much cheaper price, but then the companies are saying, oh well, our profits are going to drop, which I don't believe is right. I think there should be some saying, hey, you know what? All right, you have to keep your profit at a certain amount, but why the hell are we wasting food? Like that, this just
So,
doesn't
Alex,
even
are you
make any
saying that
sense.
the agri-food industry is also an oligopoly?
No, not at
Oh
all.
man, you guys know how we feel about oligopolies. We need more competition, whether it be airlines, cell
Yeah,
phones, banking, food as well, right? We need more. We need more of that.
exactly. And then, so I mean, and then tell me a little. I'll let you talk this a little bit more about it. I didn't see it. I'm guessing it's from X there, but they're saying a conservative-led government just announced Doge for bureaucracy. Like, so tell me, like,
So,
what's happening there?
um, yeah, Pierre does want to cut bureaucracy. We've been talking about this for a while now that we just have way too much government employees. It's like one in every four Canadians who are employed work for some sort of government entity, whether it be municipal, provincial, federal. Um, Now, he does want to cut bureaucracy by 25% over the next 2 years. Now, he also promised that for every one new regulation, two must be abolished at the same time, so that over a course of the 2 years, yeah, 25% less bureaucracy, so that we can government can be more efficient and not waste taxpayer dollars.
And now then I see this: the government general to audit all future governments. I mean, does the government general not already do that? Like, do we not have people like that are meant to be auditing like everything that's going on? And I mean, we're going to get into stuff here in a little bit, but that, like, again, that's just so crazy. If this was a company, if it was ran like a company, there's people that would have to be audited on that stuff. You just don't get to do
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you
I mean,
want.
they should be doing it already, but we haven't heard anything about it at all. Like, is it always done in the hush hush or like and such? I don't know. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, and that's
like
it. Yeah.
we're getting a lot of the election stuff in our socials. I saw this past weekend where a news reporter or a cameraman was just filming some area with, I guess, mostly liberal supporters. And there was one person who got caught, or a couple of people who were giving the middle finger to the media. I'm like, is that a sign of like let's hope you're not a representative of the boomers and the liberal supporters and such. But so one guy was actually chasing the cameraman and started pulling out his own phone on him. And I'm like, why are people becoming so unhinged?
And I mean, we know that's on the conservative
Mm.
side too. It's probably more on like but it's just all over the place. And again, the news just does a very good job of
Yeah.
polarizing each side. I mean, that's where I just don't love it, is because again, if you're maybe leaning more conservative, well, that's what your social media is going to be pushing out to you. everything that's going to make you want to argue with the liberals. Same thing, if you're more leaning liberal, it's going to push you over there. And that's where it just sitting down, don't take everything that you see online as like what's actually happening. Like digest it, read about it first, figure out like what is
like
actually
what you said
happening.
earlier before, that oftentimes whatever we get pushed in our social is kind of in our own echo chamber. So to also have an eye on like, hey, follow someone who doesn't have your own political views, and just to have a different perspective on how like the other side sees it. So I mean, like I have friends who don't agree with me politically, but we're still friends. We don't need to like I know some people like who unfriend or have blocked other people because they don't share the same political views. I'm like, well, then you're essentially creating your own little echo chamber. And you know, we live in a society where different views are okay, but you can still be friends and you know, be have a you know, discussion, but not get too like heated about it, because you know, we're not here to I know some people who try to debate to try to change other people's mind. I don't think that's realistic, because if people's minds are made up, it's just like, hey, I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. So like I feel what I believe is right, but your perspective might be different because you feel what you feel is right because of what you see, right? Whether you're right, it's each person's reality. So folks, let's just be friendly about it. I know I'm seeing some vitriol on all platforms about like, you know, essentially being an antagonistic kind of, you know, election.
And I was talking with a friend, and we were just talking about how like on social media you see the comments of like Mark Carney is going to lead us to the promised land. Pierre, like pretty much bots. Like we all know that, and this is on both sides. You see it for the liberals, you see it for the conservatives, which is just crazy. Like what social media has come and what's it doing. Even when you go to like YouTube videos and you watch something, you know that the first 100 comments, like they're not even real. Like they're just someone that's just spamming them, and it's such a weird. Just talking like when we had Trent on there last time, like it's just so different, like how politics are now, because it's such in the limelight.
And you know, I think it's just the age of social media too, like with bots, and we've talked about even foreign interference too, like with other countries, you know, trying to dictate some parties how they're voting and some of the voters and such. But do you want to talk about this big one, this RCMP that came out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but obviously it's there's an open letter to Mark Carney by Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Deputy Paul McNamara, who is retired, calling for 9 individuals to be removed from the Liberal Party for failing to act on serious breaches of national security. We're going to post this up here for one with the names and the breaches here. And again, like this is where, to me, how is this not being audited? Again, if our RCMP has brought something to the government and said, hey, how are these people not getting looked into? If I did something wrong at my work that I didn't have the right security systems, I get a call from my security team for mortgages instantly. Hey, Alex, you removed a security system that is going to make it so everyone's confidential information is going to get spread out. You need to fix that
so
now.
Some of the big names out here are Krista Freeland and Melanie Joy, amongst others. But yeah, I mean, like these are big things, and I guess it hasn't been addressed after this was released, but that's a very interesting one.
Again, so like let's read the Christy Freeland one. Like I see it is, so it says that misuse of spyware technology by CIS and RCMP, breaches of charter rights. Now, again, is that spyware? Does she just delete something that maybe that's meant to be on the government like computers? Like again, like let's not just jump on this and say, hey, she's sending stuff off to Russia and everything. But like, what is the stuff that's actually like they're doing? And I mean, what is it going to be? Breaches of charter rights? Like, what are they doing wrong that way?
The one for Melanie Joy is failed as a Minister of Foreign Affairs to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release of protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. Yeah, I mean,
we've already seen that they've just allowed people in without any. Well, they were doing security background checks for them in Canada, checking, hey, is there any security breaches? Oh, well, of course there's not. They've never been here before.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Now again, like easily I would put it on like you could probably find something similar like this about the Conservatives. Like there's for sure probably security breaches on their side and everything. But again, I do think this is something that Mark Carney like should just come out. Like him away for talking about this the other day of like if you make a mistake, just come out and talk about it. I find the government is the worst at this. They just never want to actually admit to their mistakes. I feel like if they actually did, it would probably be so much better. Like if Justin Trudeau maybe had that bone in him, he probably would be doing better than he actually did. Like if he actually can admit, like, hey, you know what? We tried this, it didn't work. We're now going to do this to fix
it. More
it.
people would understand because we are humans and things happen. And like what we don't like is the highbrow nose up kind of like we're trying something different and not admit to anything. This is what we say to our kids too. If you own up to it, we are forgiving. Like we are more upset that you lie about it than like if you make a mistake, fine, just own up to it. We're more upset that you hide it and lie to us.
We've been talking. Yeah, and that's the government. I find the government is just horrible at that, and it's just like like admit that you kind of made a mistake. Hey, we thought this was going to work out. It didn't work out. Yeah, we're now going to fix it.
We got a few more points before we got to run out of here. Carney just announced too that he wants to add 130 billion to new spending over the next 4 years. So now, if we're combining this with existing spending, this adds 225 billion to the national debt. This is more than the Trudeau government. So it's almost like they are going to be doubling down on whatever they did before. And
now, I don't know if you watch. Do you follow Daniel Foch on Twitter on X that way? And so, I mean, he did post a good like an actual pie chart. Maybe we can actually find that pie chart for Bernard. Is showing the way that the Trudeau government has spent money was just on operation. Like 75% of the government's budget was just on operating it. What Carney's talking about is saying that it's all going to go to capital injection. It's actually doing projects and obviously trying to build up our economy. Now, he saw that and he did say like, hey, this is actually better. Like, hey, they're using the funds to try and better our country. All right. But then someone did an addition, said the numbers that are being used don't work. And the actual pie chart is not the number that you're showing.
Yeah. I read a post as well on that. Someone was an economist and their company dives deep into the budget, and the numbers that Carney projected are actually quite ambitious. And like, how did you arrive to this number? It's like your debt to income ratio would have been 42%, but what you're promising is 30. This is not realistic. So it went deep dive into everything. But yeah, it's going to I guess Carney's platform is just more spending, like, more of the same, more spending. Now here's a big,
Yeah. I mean, it depends on where it's spending. Like that's why I want to know where. Like I do think, like obviously at the time of our life, we can't just stop spending. Like we can't, like the Conservatives aren't just going to stop spending people. Like don't get that wrong. They're just going to be taking cuts from other places, which that's what I think we need. I don't think we do have to add some injector to our economy, but obviously it's going to be dropping down a bit. And that's the big thing is, hey, if this is all going to go to capital projects, all right, that can make more sense.
We have one final item here. I gotta talk about. It just came up is Carney is kind of eyeing a home equity tax. Now, this is going to be aimed at boomers with paid off homes. Now, I don't know if there's any more detail on this. Alex, do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, so it's not Carney specifically. From what I was reading, it's a CMHC like investigation that they've been doing on of like how do they create more money out of more or less out of thin air. There's trillions of dollars out there in real estate. And what they want to do is be able to tax it. They want to find a way to be able to tax that. Their questions are, well, should they be taxing people? Hey, if you own a home, it's worth $1 million. Are you going to get taxed more? Hey, if you sell your home, it's worth over X amount. Even if it's your principal residence, you're going to pay taxes on it. Those are the things that they're talking about it. It's not in any of like Mark Carney's. I will give them this. It's not in any of their like actual legislation. It is a CMHC thing that's being brought, but it was brought by the Liberals. They wanted them to go look into it.
Whoever comes into government, I don't think any Canadian would want that. Whether it be whatever your party lines are, liberal, conservative, NDP. I don't think any Canadian would want that. I can say first off, I would not want that. My parents would not want that. I'm sure no one would want that because we work hard all our lives, right?
Yeah, but I mean, again, the only people who would want it would be people that are maybe 18 to 25. Like people that can't get into homes. Again, the whole reason why like there's a lot of equity out there, and I mean, people would they sell stuff quicker if they knew if this came in and said, hey, in 6 months there's going to be taxes, there would be so many homes on the market, it would get flooded instantly. Which could be a reason why maybe they're talking about it, saying, hey, we need some boomers to start selling their homes. But right now, the main people that are buying and selling is 50 and plus. That is the average person that's buying a home right now.
So, folks, we took up the whole episode talking about politics. Our federal election is happening April 28th. So by the time you listen to this, the early advanced voting has passed. Hopefully you've done some early voting. If not, do make your voices heard. Exercise your Canadian right and privilege to vote. Whatever party lines you feel, it is important to go out and vote as a Canadian on April the 28th. Any closing thoughts, Alex?
It's going to be interesting times over the next 2 weeks here, figuring out that's going to happen. I am excited. We do have another interviewer coming on with us here for our next weeks that will come out after. He is a financial advisor that specializes in a lot of stuff. And so we're going to be just jumping into the markets, talking about how can you kind of plan for yourself? How do you get yourself prepared for what the next 4 years could look like?
Again, folks, thanks for supporting us every single step of the way. You may not agree with us, but we're here to engage in conversation to help navigate this life that we're living in Canada, especially this important time we are deciding who our next Prime Minister will be. So on behalf of Alex Shanks, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in this episode. We'll see you next time.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.